joins us today to talk advertising, leadership, and all things digital. He is the Don Draper of digital. Please put your hands together and welcome Steve Carroll.
Leadership in the digital age is changing, and to succeed, you need to embrace it. We live in a turbulent time that is being fueled by rapidly advancing technology. Modern leaders build their identities through influencing perception. Elon Musk uses flamethrowers to raise capital for a company that digs tunnels. Both Trump and Obama harnessed social media to amplify and influence successfully, even though they use different methods to suit their different agendas and messages. Increased access to information via technology has empowered the follower. Driven by technology, entire movements like Me Too and Time's Up have achieved global reach, affecting change and accountability worldwide. Employees now have the means to find greener pastures and the resources to understand their industries and the roles they fill. Leaders need to adapt to this tech-driven playing field, which is vastly different from the rigid, traditional hierarchy of post-industrial institutions. Employees don't just accept you're a leader based on your title anymore. In these days of mass communication, you need to prove it through your actions. And beyond proving it, you need to broadcast the fact. A truly modern leader embraces this new digital world and utilises it to amplify great leadership.
Who watched that video, ladies and gentlemen, and thought digital is disrupting leadership? You know, digital and technology is just changing the face of the art of leadership. Show of hands if you agree with that. Yeah, come on with it. Oh, about half the room. How many of you think that digital and technology is making the art of leadership so much easier? Show of hands. Not so many. How many of you have had this type of moment where you've thought to yourself, I'm reading all these stories about robots and artificial intelligence replacing human beings, replacing human jobs, yeah? Well, I tell you what, if a robot wants my bloody job, they can have it, right? If a robot wants to manage and lead my team, they're welcome to it because they're welcome to look after my team's obsession of checking their mobile phone every 30 seconds. They can, if the robot wants it, the robot can look after my team's demand for more and more and more. And they can also look after my team's attention span, which is about the length of a goldfish's attention span. Anybody had those moments before? Yeah, a couple of you. I had that exactly, 2 or 3 weeks ago with my son, Oliver, who you mentioned. Have we got the clicker? The clicker's up there. Beautiful. So my son, Ollie, is in year 3 of a university degree at ANU in Canberra, right? He's a typical millennial, yeah? So he and I have this father-son conversation about, what are you going to do for a job, Ollie? And he said to me, well, I have high expectations, Dad. I tell you one thing, I'm not going to do the long hours that you do, yeah? I think what Ollie means is anything over 5 hours. He said, if my boss expects me to do those long hours, I'm going to demand a sleeping pod. He said, the other thing that's really important to me, Dad, is I want to work for a company that allows me to bring Harry to work 2 or 3 times a week. Who wants to guess who Harry is? Yeah, the dog, absolutely. And Dad, I want to work for a company that puts on free yoga, spin classes, and so on and so forth. I went, well, good luck with that then, Ollie. Now, ladies and gentlemen, whether or not you think that digital and technology is disrupting the art of leadership a lot, a medium amount, or just a little bit, I think that we can agree on 3 things. So I think the first thing that we can agree on is navigate myself through the drum kit here. I think the first thing that we agree on is the fundamentals of leadership. Yeah, they're not actually changing a lot. People our teams in 2019, they still want a good salary. They still want to feel as though they're learning and growing. And they still want to feel as though their contribution is making a difference to the team's goals. Yeah, I don't think digital or technology is necessarily disrupting that. The only difference is, folks, in the olden days, the fundamentals, they would keep your team, my teams, motivated and engaged for a long, long, long time. Yeah? Today, we're lucky if the fundamentals keep our teams engaged until the middle of the week. So I think we can agree that I think the second thing that we can agree on is the expectations are just going through the roof, and they're increasing and increasing and increasing. And one of the reasons for that is the more these companies condition our workforce, your workforce and my workforce, the more they expect. So I'll give you an example. What Apple have done is Apple have wired us and have conditioned us to expect real quality that never stands still. It evolves, it gets better, and it gets better, and it gets better. Amazon has wired us to expect things really, really fast, really, really quick. And Airbnb has conditioned us to expect variety and to expect choice. And the more we, your teams, the people that work for me, condition themselves with these companies and use the products from these companies, the more they're going to expect from their leaders. And this slide sums it up beautifully. This is a slide that I plagiarized from a visit I made to Google. You are competing with the best experience your employee has ever had. I reckon that's the second thing that we can agree on. The third thing I'm sure we can agree on, folks, is this. Today's leader, tomorrow's leader, if they fail to embrace digital, if they fail to get on the bus, if they fail to adapt, they will find it so hard to recruit good talent. They will find it so hard to keep their good talent. I think they are the three things that we can all agree on, whether or not you think digital is having a huge impact on leadership or a small bit. Now, my name's Steve Carroll. It's great to be here today. Big supporter of the Hands Across the Water charity. Think they do amazing work. And as the MC said in his introduction, I've worked across the world managing big teams. I've actually worked in the digital space, the internet space, since the turn of the century, yeah? Which makes me sound amazingly bloody old, yeah? And I manage teams in Europe, I've managed teams in Australia, but what I want to do is I want to spend a bit of time just focusing on my time at the REA Group. And the REA Group, we make realestate.com.au. We are in the Australian Stock Exchange at about number 29. Our share price in the last 10 years has gone from $9 to over $100. So incredibly successful company. But obviously having talented people and keeping talented people is really, really key. Now, very interestingly, when I joined REA in 2010, the power was with the employer. 2010, the power was with the employer. So people like me who had digital experience and a thirst and a hunger to be in this digital space, there wasn't actually a lot of companies to choose from. There was car sales, there was Seek, I think LinkedIn had just stuck its head above the parapet, there was realestate.com.au and so on and so forth. And the employers back in 2010 could choose the people that they wanted. Let's just fast forward that to today, 2019. And people that are in the space that I work in, the power is with them. Because there is so much choice. Every single week there is a startup, that's a technology startup that begins life that is financially very stable. Amazon, Facebook, Google are opening offices all across Australia. And we've got some very talented people from REA in the room today. I know for a fact they're constantly headhunted to go and work for one of these startups or one of these big American organizations. Yeah? So if we want to continue to grow as a company, we have to embrace, we have to adapt to the digital world. We have to respond, because otherwise we will, a bit like the English cricket team last week, be totally screwed. So we focus on a number of things, but we've got about 15 minutes together. So I want to share with you three key trends, three key strategies that we focus on at REA to ensure that we keep good people and we attract good people that want to come and work for us. 3 trends, 3 strategies. Does that sound a good way to spend 15 minutes together? Yeah, good stuff. So first is this. Employees have an expectation of access from their bosses like never before. And one of the reasons for that is because of social media platforms like Twitter and like Instagram. So let me give you an example. I've been following Barack Obama for the last 6 or 7 years. I've never met him, but I feel as though I've got a relationship with him. Why do I feel as though I've got a relationship with him? Because he shares stuff with me. He tells me how he's feeling. He tells me what he's worried about, what he's excited about, and so on and so forth. I've worked with some great people over the years, but I tell you what, there are some managers that I've worked for or some leaders that I've worked for who I actually think I know less about them, they know less about me than Barack Obama, which is crazy. One of our very talented account managers up in Queensland has a similar relationship with Kylie Jenner. And do you know what? I said that in Brisbane, people laughed. I don't know what the joke is, but someone's going to have to tell me afterwards. And last week she called me and she said, Steve, she said, you never guess what, yeah? Kylie Jenner has just told me, listen to the language, just told me that she now has more followers on Instagram than the whole population of Russia. Yeah? This account manager said to me, you know what? Kylie Jenner has just taken a 1.2 million ad from Coca-Cola to put in her Instagram feed. Yeah? Now, what this account manager is saying to me indirectly is, Steve, I have a relationship with one of the most powerful, successful business leaders on the planet. Whether or not you like her or not, doesn't matter. She's amazingly successful. What this account manager is saying to me is, you better keep the communication channels open between me and you, Steve. And that is the digital world. That is what we're faced with. Now, my brother runs a very successful company in the UK, although I think his leadership style is falling behind because he's just a little bit slow at adapting what I talk about. And he said to me recently, he said, all this stuff, Steve, what you don't understand, it's bloody hard in the business that I work in. It's head down, bum up. There's this thing called Brexit on, Steve. I'm racing from meetings to meetings. I just don't have the time to give access to my team. And I say to him, well, mate, I think you will struggle. Yeah, but Steve, I have Friday night drinks, and if anybody wants to come to me with an idea or a thought, and I said, Nick, seriously, particularly the millennials, if they've got an idea that they want to share with you on Monday, you're expecting them to wait until Friday when you're half pissed. It is not going to happen. So what does this mean to us as leaders, ladies and gentlemen? It means we have to embrace access and transparency. Otherwise, we will get left behind. One of the best leaders I've worked with in Australia, one of the best leaders, probably the best in Australia, was a leader who gave his team and gave me total accessibility. How did he do that? He was an early adopter to using artificial intelligence. He figured out and still figures out that this job, I'm outsourcing that to artificial intelligence. I'm not going to get bogged down behind my office door, which frees me up to do what I need to do, to be visible. That's why he was such a great leader. A friend of mine, I love this story. I've got to go back to this. So, I was talking about immediacy and stuff. So I had this great fortune. I spent a bit of time at Uber in America. And I went over to Uber because I wanted to try and understand the expectations of the workforce as we move into the next decade. And one of the key things I got from this was employers will expect things really, really fast. So think about my brother, and they've got to wait until Friday. So I'm talking to this product manager at Uber, and she says to me, "What's wrong with you Australians?" I said, "What do you mean?" She said, "Well, you're so bloody impatient as a nation of people." I said, "Well, explain." She said, "Well, we operate in 100 countries across the planet. And without question, the most impatient people are Australians." And what they do is they can track the behaviour of consumers. And these consumers are the people that work for you and work for me. And this is what happens. They're in Sydney. They want an Uber from A to B. The Uber is 9 minutes away. What happens? We cancel. In fact, we go above cancelling. We say, "Bullshit, I'm not waiting 9 minutes for an Uber." We cancel, and then we rebook, hoping miraculously there'll be an Uber that's now only 4 minutes away, right? Now, I'm telling this to my brother who's expecting people to wait 4 days, right, for a meeting. This lady from Uber, she said, "You Australians, 5 years ago before we came to Australia, you would quite happily wait 25 minutes for a taxi." And that's what we need to think about. This Elon Musk bloke, he is a bit strange and he is a bit weird, right? But I tell you what, he is a leader that many of us can learn from. Yeah, many of us can learn from this bloke here. So next to our office in Brisbane is Tesla. So I'm talking to one of the girls who works at Tesla. She's doing her engineering degree. She's explaining to me that she's really stuck on a particular paper that she's writing. So what did she do? She reached out to Elon Musk through their intranet site and said, "Look, I'm stuck with this, I'm stuck with that." Overnight, because obviously the time difference, Elon Musk came back and said, "Have you watched this video? Look at this link. I think the answer might be this. Read this, read that, read the other." Because Elon Musk knows if he wants to put people on Mars, he needs the most talented people on the planet, and people expect access. So, 3 things that we focus on at the REA Group. One is access and transparency. This is a good thing for you to do. When you get back to your office today, ask your team to rate you on a scale of 0 to 10 on access and transparency. And be bold and brave and do it and see where you fit. Second thing is this personalised approach. So the more we get used to Netflix and Spotify and all of these companies that just deliver an amazing personalised experience, the more we expect personalisation from our bosses, and the more your people will expect personalisations from you. I was at one of Nike's offices in America only a few months ago. You can now have your own running shoes personalized for you using some technology called augmented reality, because Nike know that today's consumer, which is your employee, expect high amount of personalization, whether or not it's buying shoes or it's from their boss. The best leader was a UK leader I worked with. And for many years, he employed this thing where he'd say to his PA, "No meetings, absolutely no meetings until 9:15. Because what he did between 7:30 and 9:15 every single morning, he would aim to do 9 before 9. 9 meaningful conversations with people that worked for him. Was he a brilliant leader? An outstanding leader. He was actually knighted by the Queen. He's now near on 70 for his service for leadership. He understood back in the 1980s the importance of personalization. So again, ladies and gentlemen, we'll miss that. I think we're going to move on to I like this. So as I go around the country, I see really good companies leaning in towards personalized commitments, personalized KPIs, personalized working hours, personalizing rewards. And my big advice to you, ladies and gentlemen, not only should you be asking your team to give you feedback on your accessibility, but also how well do you personalize what you do for them? Because a leader in that field is Facebook, yeah? Facebook every single day send people that work for you and people that work for me notifications to say, hey, Steve, this is what you were doing 6 years ago, yeah? And that's a brilliant piece of personalization. If Facebook can do it, we have to follow suit. So, 3 things. 1 is accessibility. 2nd is personalization. The 3rd is this. Digital has made us all visible 24/7. So let me explain. This is the first job offer letter I got back in, God knows when, 1981. I'm seriously getting old. And I don't remember much about the job, but what I remember is my dad the night before saying, Steve, I want you to understand a few things about an interview. Number 1, be really grateful you got an interview. Be really, really grateful. Number 2, make sure you speak when you are spoken to. And number 3, if you are invited to ask questions, make sure you ask questions about the company and not about you. It's 1981, right? This has changed massively, particularly over the last 5 years. And what we know at the REA Group is talented people, not only that live in Australia but overseas, who are attracted to work for technology companies like REA. What they do is they Google us. They Google us and they form opinions before they even actually meet us, yeah? They work out who the leader is going to be, and then they Google him and form out and form an opinion about whether or not I want to work for him or her. It's transformed. And we did some research at the company to find out. So, if this lady at the front here is applying for a job at REA, at Seek, at a number of these tech companies, and she's Googling all of them to get an impression on where she's going to go to, these are 4 significant things. Number 1, is this a company that clearly invests in its people? Number 2, is this a company that is technology switched on, digitally switched on? Or do they, through their digital presence, give me a feeling that they're just a little bit stuck in their ways? Number 3, I don't know if there's such a thing yet as rate my boss, but believe me, it will come. Yeah, it will come. The closest to that is in the tech world, there's this thing called Glassdoor. So if you look on Glassdoor, you can see people that work at REA, people that have left REA, people that have applied for an interview, give feedback through Glassdoor on what their experience was. We know that when people like this lady here who's looking for a job in the tech space will look at 5 Glassdoor reviews in helping her make a decision on who she's going to apply to join. And the last thing, ladies and gentlemen, is so important, particularly with millennials. Is this a company that actually cares about the community? Is this a company that is not just take, it's give and take, yeah? So important. So ladies and gentlemen, my final action for you today is when you get back, be brave. Get someone to Google you in the capacity or in the context of them wanting to come and work for you. How well do you feature in those areas that we just talked about? So in summary, ladies and gentlemen, there is absolutely no doubt that digital and technology is disrupting the art of leadership. There is no doubt as leaders, and we're all leaders, if we want to be successful in the next decade, we have to embrace, we have to adapt, we have to change. Otherwise, we will become irrelevant. We will struggle to retain and attract good talent. Access, personalization, your digital footprint, absolutely vital. So on a lighter note, people say to me, hey, Steve, are robots really going to take over so many jobs? And I say, no. The reason being is when technology breaks down, we always turn to human beings to fix the problem. Let's just check this out.
In Austin, it's 60 degrees with a... Alexa?
Amazon's Alexa lost her voice this morning, causing a
Alexa lost her voice. How is that even possible?
We have the replacements ready, just say the word.
And you're sure this is gonna work?
Yeah.
Alexa, show me a recipe for a grilled cheese sandwich.
Pathetic. You're 32 years of age and you don't know how to make a grilled cheese sandwich. Its name is the recipe, you...
Alexa, how far is Mars?
How far is Mars? Well, how am I supposed to know? I've never been there. This guy want to go to Mars. For what? There's not even oxygen there.
Alexa, set the mood.
Now setting the mood. You're in the bush, and you're just so dirty, and you're so sweaty, because it's hot in that bush.
Alexa, reboot.
Alexa, play some country music.
Oh,
I don't dance now, I make money moves.
No, Alexa, country music.
I be in and out them bands so much I know they tired of me.
Alexa, call Brandon.
I'm afraid Brandon is a little tied up. But do let me know if there's anything I can help you with. Jessica? Good boy.
Thanks, guys, but I'll take it from here.
Fantastic. Ladies and gentlemen, been brilliant talking to you today. I'll just leave you with a few final thoughts. The first one is this. This is an amazing time to be a leader. Amazing time, but only if you embrace the opportunities that digital offer you. Hands Across the Water, incredible charity. Support it as much as you can. This is a digital world, ladies and gentlemen. My name's Steve Carroll. Thank you so much for your time.